JinPingMei Original Version Chapter 50. The piano boy listens to the joy of the swallows and the orioles, and Diane plays in Butterfly Alley. It is said that on that day when Li Jiar celebrated her birthday, Auntie Wang from Guanan Temple invited Auntie Zhu from Lianhua Temple, and also brought his two apprentices, Mao Feng and Mao Ku. Yunyang knew that he was a decent girl, so she quickly came out to greet him. I saw him wearing a pure monk's hat and a dark brown cassock, with a shaved green head. He was tall and fat, with swampy gills. He came in and clasped hands with Yunyang and others to inquire. The panicked Yunyang and others quickly saluted. When I saw him frowning, showing off his skills, talking about words, he just called him Master Zhu one after another. He called Yunyang a household bodhisattva, or an official's wife. Yunyang respected him very much. Da Quizi and Miss Yang were both here that day, and Yunyang served tea with him. A large table of vegetables and snacks was set up, which was unusual. The two sisters-in-law, Mayak and Mayafeng, who were only 14 or 15 years old and very handsome, were eating at the table next to him. After having tea, they all sat in the upper room, listened to him preach. Seeing the scholar boy coming to collect the work, Yunyang asked, "Where is the monk who was eating wine and meat in front?" The boy said, "I got up just now. Dad sent him away." Wu Dejinzi asked, "Yes. Where is the monk invited?" Yunyang said, "It's a monk brought by his father from the temple outside the door today to see off Yashikai. He can eat wine and meat, no matter what prescription he asks for. He doesn't need any silver or money." Shu, who knows what he does for a living? When Aunt Su heard this, she said, "Eating meat and drinking alcohol are hard to stop. But I, a bhikshuni, still have some precepts, but the Chinese monks are not in charge of them. Tibetan Buddhism, the sutra does not say that if you take a bite of him, you will have to pay him back a bite when you are reincarnated." After hearing this, Wu Dejinzi said, "It's like us eating meat all day long, but we don't know how many sins we have in reincarnation." Aunt Su said, "Like the old bodhisattva, they are all blessed from previous lives, enjoying glory and wealth. For example, if you don't plant grains in spring, how can you expect a harvest in autumn? I'm not talking about it here. Let's say that Simon King sent Hussein, and Diane whispered, Tuli Han and Han sent his brother to invite Dad, saying that today is his birthday, please come and sit down. Simon King got Hussein's medicine. He was about to test it with the woman, but he didn't want to invite her, so he just wanted to do it. So he ordered Diane to prepare his horse and asked the piano boy to deliver a jar of wine first. So he walked to Jinlian's room and took out the vagina bag, plain clothes and a small hat, wearing a gauze. Diane followed and went straight to Wang Liuera's house. After dismounting and going inside, he ordered, "Leave the harp boy to wait on you while Diane returns to Mi's house. When your family asks, tell me that I am settling accounts at the house on Lion Street." Diane agreed and rode home. Wang Liuer came out and kowtowed to Simon King, sat beside him and said, "Nothing, please come over and relax. Thank you for bringing me the wine." Simon King said, "I forgot your birthday. I'm going to go there today. I just came home after seeing him off at the door." She took out a hairpin from her sleeve and handed it to him, saying, "I wish you a happy birthday today." The woman took it and looked at it, but it was a pair of gold hairpins with the character longevity and said, "Well done." He quickly said one blessing. Simon King handed him another 5 cents of silver and said, "You weigh 5 cents," and asked the young man to buy a bottle of Yunnan Shaoju for me to drink. Wang Liuer smiled and said, "Dad, I'm tired of eating other wines. I thought about it. I want to eat Nen Shaoju again." He quickly weighed 5 cents of silver and asked Kintunger to buy a bottle. At the same time, he took off his clothes for Simon King and invited him to sit in the room. I personally had tea with Simon King and set up a small table to watch cards and play games. After watching it for a while, I stopped talking about eating and drinking. When Shan Bao Dian returned home, he was tired from walking with the monk, so he slept until he turned on the lamp and then woke up. Rubbing his eyes, he saw that it was getting late, so he walked to the back to get a lantern to pick up his father, but just stood there. Yunyang asked him, "Your father sent the monk away, and he didn't come in to change clothes. He went without knowing it. Whose house did he drink at? Diane said, Dad didn't go to that house. He was in the Lion Street house. Let's settle accounts. Yoon Young said, settling the accounts. I won't be able to live with you for a day. Diane said, settling the accounts. Dad drinks at home, Yoon Young said. There is no one to accompany him. Why don't he just drink at home? Seeing that they just said to things, what is the boy from Hondaguo here looking for you for? Diane said, he came to ask when Uncle Han will come. Yoon Young scolded, thief prisoner route. You don't know what you are doing. Diane said and didn't dare to say anything. Yoon Young handed Xiao Yu a lantern and told him, you said that your two mothers are waiting for their birthday at home. Diane agreed and walked to the front shop, where he saw Schrödinger and Mr. Fu sitting there, with a bottle of water on the water cabinet, a bottle of wine, a few dishes, and a plate of beef belly. Pinginer brought the bottles of yecha from outside and was drinking. When Diane saw this, he swept down the lantern and said, okay, I'm on my way. He joked to the book boy, what a whore, I didn't find you there. You were hiding here to have a drink. The book boy said, why are you looking for me? You think you want to be my grandson for half a day? Diane scolded, young man, you are talking back. I am looking for you to get your ass in Japan. So he walked forward, pressed him on the chair, and kissed her. The book boy pushed it away with his hand and said, you're a peddler. I can't scold him. His teeth were broken and his hat was taken off. When Mr. Fu saw his hat on the ground, he said, a new lamp cap. Zhao Pinginer said, pick it up for him. I'm afraid our story will be ruined. The book boy took it and threw it on the Kang, making his face turn red. Diane said, what a slut. Are you annoyed when I am teasing you? He couldn't help but lift up his legs and push him on the Kang. He spat into his mouth as hard as he could, overturned the wine and flowed on the water tank. Mr. Fu was afraid that the account book had been wet, so he quickly wiped it with a handkerchief and said, forget about it. You two are stubborn. Dan said, what a slut. Whose mouth did you offend today? This is such a fight, twisting your feet. The book boy messed up his hair and said, just play around and laugh. Yu Zhen spit out a mouthful of water from the stinging Zikong. Diane said, thief Kanjian Shao. You just ate Zikong today. You have eaten countless Zikong before. Pingin sifted out a basket of wine and handed it to Dan, saying, eat quickly and go pick Dad up. If you have anything to say, come back and talk to him. Dan said, when I pick Dad up and come back, I can talk to him. I won't talk to him. The young boy is not afraid of gods or ghosts without being manipulated. The spittle I make is not raised by humans. I just try it and stick it. After eating the wine, he called a boy in the doorman's room to hold a lantern. He then rode his horse to Wang Liuer's house. He opened the door and asked Qin Tenger, where is Dad? Qin Tong said, Dad is sleeping in the house. Then he closed the door and the two of them walked to the kitchen behind. Old Fang then said, Nguaner, your Aunt Han just waited for you to come and left some money for you. He took a plate of donkey meat, a plate of braised chicken, 2 bowls of longevity noodles, and a piece of wine. Diane ate for a while, then asked the piano boy to say, come here, I can't drink this wine, let's just be quiet. Qin boy said, you can eat what is left for you. Diane said, I just ate the dumpling. So after the two of them finished eating, Diane called out, Grandma Fang, I have something to say, don't worry about me. I thought that you were at Liu Niang's place, taking charge of my house, and now you are here with Aunt Han. I'm in charge of the house with Aunt Han. When I get home, I won't even say anything to Liu Niang. Then old Fang patted him and said, it's a shame you're so stupid. If you don't say anything at home, you'll have to hand over. He has annoyed me all my life, and I dare not see him. Diana was talking to Lao Fang here, but he didn't want Qin Tong to go under the bedroom window and listen quietly. It turned out that Simon King drank a pill of monk whose medicine with soju, took off his clothes, and sat on the edge of the bed. Open the package of the penis, first tie the silver holder under the base, and make a sulfur circle on the glands. Then, put Hu Monk and his pink ointment into a small silver box, and squeeze out about 1.5 centimeters placed in the horse's eyes. Immediately the effects of the medicine took effect, and he became furious. His brain was exposed. His eyes were wide open, and his transverse tendons were visible. His color was like a purple liver, and he was about 6 or 7 inches long and was much thicker than usual. Simon King was secretly happy. Sure enough, this medicine is interesting. The woman stripped naked and sat in his arms, holding her in her hand. He said, "It's strange that you want to drink liquor, so this is what you do for a living." He asked, "Where did you get the medicine?" Simon King told Monk who and his medicine. He ordered the woman to lie on her back on the bed, with her back against the pillows, and the words in her hand. The glands is tall and big. After grinding it for a long time, some whiskers were inserted. The woman's sexual fluids overflowed, and after a while it slipped down, leaving only the ridges on her body. Simon King was in a state of drunkenness. He pumped lightly and deeply, feeling that his body was so smooth and beautiful that it was indescribable. The woman was so lustful that she collapsed on the pillow and moaned incessantly. He just kept shouting, "Big Mauji. Maubadada, the whore is going to die today." He also said, "I beg you, at least leave some time to play behind." Simon King then threw his wife down kneeling on the bed. The words came into the house. He supported his buttocks and tried his best to poke the door and stone collapse. The sound of poke the door and stone collapse was loud and loud. His wife said, "Dada, you are so angry with the prostitute, so don't stay here anymore. If not, you can take a lamp and light it up to play with." Simon King then moved the lamp closer to him, letting the woman relax under her. With both feet, he rode on it, crouched down and lifted it with his buttocks in his arms. His wife rubbed the heart of the flower with her lower hand, pulled her buttocks and lifted it up, trembling incessantly. Simon King then said to his wife, "When your family comes, I will send him Lai Bao and Shui Ben to Yangzhou to collect salt. After the salt is sold, I will send him to Huzhou to weave silk." "Okay," said the wife. "Good Dada, leave it to him wherever you want. Just go and leave the bastard to do what you want at home." Yin asked, "Who is in charge of the shop?" Simon King said, "I handed over to Ben Si and sold it for him." Wang Liuer said, "That's all right. Let's leave it to Ben Si to watch." The two of them were having sex here, and they didn't want to be heard by Kin Tunger outside the window. Diane came from behind and saw that he was looking at him. He patted him and said, "Why don't you listen to him? Let's come over while he doesn't get up." The piano boy followed him outside. Diane said, "There are 2 new little girls in the small alley behind here. I rode here on horseback and saw them in Lu's long-legged house. One is called Jenner and the other is called Sayer. They are not even 10 years old, 7 or 8 years old. I asked my companion to watch here while we went out for a while." He told his companion, "You stay here and listen to the door while we wash our hands. When you look inside, you come up to the entrance of the small alley, call us." As ordered, the 2 moons walked into the alley. It turns out that this alley is called Butterfly Alley, and there are more than 10 families in it, all of whom open shops for food and clothing. Diane was already drunk, so he kept calling for a long time before opening the door. It turned out that Wang Bajang and Jin Po Lu Changji were weighing silver with big yellow poles under the lamp. When they saw 2 evil spirits who seemed to have barged in, they quickly put out the light in the back room. The bastard recognized Diane as the housekeeper of Simon's father's family in the punishment center, so he gave up his seat. Diane said, "Call his 2 sisters and let us sing a song." The bastard said, "Butler, you came a step late. There were already people there just now." Diane couldn't help but say, "The 2 of them," he crashed into it in one step. "I didn't even light the lamp." In the moonlight, I saw 2 drunkards wearing white felt hats on the kang. One was sleeping on the kang, and the other had just taken off his feet. He asked, "Who is coming into the house?" Dan said, "I'll be in your mother's eyes." He punched her so hard that the bartender shouted, "Akora!" He couldn't put on his foot-binding socks and ran out. The one got up on the king and walked away every step he fell. Diane asked Zhang to turn on the lamp and cursed. "It's a savage refugee, but he asked me where I was from. I had to clean off his hair just now, so I let him go for free. Can I take him to the Yemen and hand him over? Let him try the new lamp." Lu Changshan stepped forward, held the lamp in his hand, bowed again and again. and said, "Brothers, to housekeepers, please calm down. People from outside the capital don't know about him, so don't get to know him." Yin ordered. Jinner and Sayer come out and sing with her. "Uncle, listen." I saw both of them wearing silk buns, white shirts and red and green skirts. They stepped forward and said, "I didn't know Uncle was coming today. It's night, so I didn't make any preparations." There were 4 plates of dried vegetables, and the remaining plates were filled with duck eggs, dried shrimps, cooked fish, salted fish, pork head, dried sausages, and the like. Diane hugged Sayer, and Kin Tong hugged Jinner. Dan saw Sayer carrying a silver red gauze sachet, so he exchanged a sweat scarves in his sleeves. After a while, the wine was sifted, and Sayer took Jonger to pour the wine and handed it to Diane. First, Jinner took the pipa, served wine to the piano boy, and sang "Sheep on the Hillside" and said, "Firework Village is really sad, but I can't cool enough to sit down." Jory's family welcomes guests, and the whole family depends on one slave for food and clothing. In the end, it was me who came to borrow money from the house. Old Kiampo, he doesn't care whether I live or die. Standing in front of the door as the night progresses, someone asks me, "Am I hungry?" During the next 5 or 3 years of living in Yanhua village, few slaves survived, but many died. Tears burst into tears. There are flowers blooming on the iron tree, which is my harvest. After Jinner finished singing, Sayer poured another glass of wine and handed it to Dayaner. He took the pipa and was about to sing. Suddenly, he saw his little companion calling, and they both got up quickly. Dan said to Sayer, "We'll come see you another day." After saying that, he went out and came to Wang Liuera's house. Simon King just got up, and his wife was drinking with him. The 2 of them entered the kitchen and asked Lao Feng, "Dad, how often do you come to see me?" Lao Feng said, "Your father didn't look for me. He only asked when the horse came, and I said he came." No more words. The 2 sat in the kitchen. I asked Lao Feng if he wanted some tea. Each of them drank a cup of tea, and asked his companions to light a lantern and lead out the horses. When Simon Kingland stood up, his wife said, "Dad, the wine is so warm. You can eat for another hour. Why don't you have wine again when you get home?" Simon King said, "I won't eat when you get home." So he picked up the wine and ate again. 1 hour. His wife asked, "When are you going to come and take a walk?" Simon King said, "I won't come until he gets up after being sent away." After that, the girl ordered tea and rinsed her mouth. Wang Liuer was sent to the door, and Simon Qingfeng mounted his horse and returned home. However, Jin Lian and others were in Yunyang's room, listening to Ansu's apprentices, the 2 sisters-in-law, singing Buddhist songs. Suddenly she remembered that Yunyang scolded Diane. "You said 2 things. I don't know what you are doing." Because she went back to the room and touched the sex bag on the bed, but it was gone again. Chunmai was asked to ask, and Chunmai said, "Dad Tuli came into the room and rummaged through the drawer on the back of the bed. Who knows where the buns are placed?" Jin Lian said, "He came in too often. Why should I?" "Don't you know?" Chunmai said. Mom was looking back at Ansu. Dad came into the house wearing a little hat. I asked, but he didn't say anything. Jin Lian said, "I must have taken the stolen goods and went to the house of the prostitute in the courtyard. When he comes home, I will ask her questions." So she went to the back again. Not wanting Simon King to come home, he didn't go back because it was late at night. The piano boy took a lantern and sent it to the door at the corner of the garden, then went to Li Pingera's house. Qin Tunger handed the lamp to the back, and Xiao Yu took it away. When Yunyang saw it, she asked, "Your father is here?" Qin Tong said, "Dad is here," and he went to Liu Niang's room in front. Yunyang said, "Do you think there is a channel? Here, if people are waiting, they won't come in." Li Pinger hurriedly walked to the front and said to Men King, "His second mother is waiting for your birthday in the back. Why did you come into my house for nothing?" Simon King smiled and said, "I'm drunk. Let's do it tomorrow." Li Pinger said, "Even if you're drunk, you'll still catch me later. If you don't go, won't you make his 2 mothers angry?" Simon King encouraged him with all his strength. "Hum in the back." Li Jiar handed over the wine, and Yunyang asked, Are you alone today? Where are you sitting in the house over there so early and late? Simon King said, Brother Ying and I are here to have a drink. Yunyang said, but here we are again. I said there's no one around. How can we eat at home? That's all. When Simon King couldn't move, he raised his feet and wandered into Li Pingera's room. It turned out that it was Wang Lior who had taken Hu Seng's medicine and was under the influence of the medicine. He had sex with his wife for a day, but he happened to not lose his body. The words became harder and harder, shaped like an iron pestle. Entering the room, Yingxun took off her clothes and was about to sleep with Li Pinger. Li Pinger only said that he wasn't coming, and he and Brother Guan had already fallen asleep on the bed. When he turned around and saw that it was him, he said, You are just sleeping in the back. What are you doing here? Children sleep sweetly. I can't help but have it here, and I have it again. It's inconvenient. You go to sleep in someone else's room. I'm not going. I'm just here to bother you. Simon King hugged his neck and kissed him, saying, Slave, you really want to sleep with you? He exposed those words to Li Pinger. Laughing Li Pinger said, Yeah, Korean music. How did you get him to be so big? Simon King smiled and told him that he had taken Hu monk medicine for a while. If you don't sleep with me, I will die of anxiety. Leaping the Sun said, But what's going on? It's only been 2 days since I've been here. I haven't left yet, so I'm going to wait. I'll sleep with you. It's okay for you to go to his 5th wife's room to rest for the night today, Simon King said. For some reason, I just want to sleep with you today. I'll make a chicken for you now. If you don't ask the girl to bring some water for washing, you can just sleep with me. Leaping the Sun said, I'm so funny. You were so drunk from what you ate there today. And you came to my house to pester me. It's not clean even after you wash it. A wife's menstruation is stained on a man's body. Month replacement irritating. Yes, it's bad luck. I'll die tomorrow, and you'll only look for me. So he couldn't bear it. So he poured some water on Yingxun, came down to take a bath, and then went to bed to meet Simon King. But suddenly, Li Pinger slowly coaxed Guanjir to sleep. As soon as he climbed over, the child woke up. I woke up 3 times in a row. Li Pinger handed Chen Na Bo Langor to coax him, and took her breasts to the other side of the room, where the two of them had just played freely. Simon King was sitting in the tent. Li Pinger immediately climbed on top of him, and Simon King inserted the words into his vagina. His snow-white buttocks were already glimpsed under the lamp, held in his hands, and carefully observed as he went in and out. Those words have been swallowed into small pieces, and the excitement is overwhelming. Li Pinger was afraid of bringing blood, so she kept taking a towel to wipe it. Simon King jerked for an hour, holding his buttocks with both hands and just rubbing them. The words penetrated to the root, leaving no hair. The velvety hair under his navel pricked his buttocks, and he felt so soft and beautiful that it was indescribable. Pinger said, Dada, wait a minute. It hurts so much inside the slave. Simon King said, Since it hurts you, I'll just throw it away. Then, he took the cold tea from the table and took a sip. Come on. Let it go. Exactly, the 4 bodies are all smooth and beautiful, and the whole body is full of spring. Only then did Simon King know that monk who had such a wonderful medicine. It was already midnight when I went to bed. When Pan Jinlian saw Simon King resting in Li Pingera's house, she only thought that he had stolen the penis back and played with him, not to mention what he was doing outside. It was the night where I gritted my teeth and closed the door to sleep. Yunyang, Ansu and Aunt Wang slept in the upper room. Aunt Wang secretly handed the treated scalp cells and Ansu's medicine to Yunyang. Ansu called Yunyang, pick a Renzi day, eat it with wine, and sleep with an official once in the evening. It will be fetal gas. Don't leave it to anyone to know. Yunyang quickly collected the medicine and thanked the 2 girls. Then he said to Aunt Wang, I couldn't wait for you in the first month, so you didn't come. Aunt Wang said, You are right. This thing is not hard to find. It's all thanks to Master Zhu. It's also a human being. My daughter-in-law is raising a baby for the first time, but Mr. Zhu is there, and he secretly paid a mature old lady 3 coins of silver to get it. I will boil alum water and polish it for you to boxes of new Mandarin deck tiles. Brew them according to the method. And use heavy luo, sifted it and mixed it with the talisman medicine before bringing it. Yunyang said, it's just a burden to Master Zhu and Master Wang. So each of them took out 2 taels of silver to thank each other. Said, if you are pregnant tomorrow, I will give Master Zhu a piece of yellow-brown satin to make a cassock to wear. Aunt Zhu clasped her hands together and said, thank you for the good intentions of Bodhisattva. As the saying goes, if you sell a load of needles in 10 days, you will not be able to sell them. But if you sell 3 loads of armor in 1 day, they will be resold. Exactly, if you teach this generation to become a Buddha, all the monks and nuns in the world will be like water.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.